party is do not join Homeland. That's a new group. Do you know what they stand for? They want all white country. We've got people come over this country from university and stay there born here. Do you know what Homeland want? To send them back to their parents, to their ancestors. We will not tolerate that. If they're born here, that's what we want. But Homeland on a different level. They are Hitler. Adolf. Blue eyes, blonde hair.
Welcome to the Daily Agenda. Very interesting clip. Glen Saffer. Not a very popular man at all in certain circles. Quite apart from being an anti-white degenerate who likes ranting about nationalists and spreading lies about us, namely the Homeland Party. It is not a Hitler-worshipping political organisation, and it does not want to send all non-white people back, and that includes mixed-race people as well. That's just pure fiction. I know I spoke to Kenny Smith, and we had a long conversation, and he confirmed that their policy was 95% white supermajority, 90% minimum. So not at all wanting to send all non-whites back. That's one of the first lies Glen Saffer spouted at that rantathon. Now, Saffer is an interesting character because he was once a member of Tommy Robinson's inner circle until he was disgraced. And the allegation against him is that he groomed a 15-year-old girl. And that allegation apparently is about to surface this week with the vested interests who've been out to expose him for quite some time. They were also once connected to Tommy, and they realised what a crook he is as well. Seems to be quite a common thread, doesn't it? They first of all get sucked in, or should I say suckered into it, lured into it, and then realise what a bunch of crooks they all are. And then they have to leave because they're not crooks. And so, yes, Saffer, the other allegation is that domestic violence. And Tommy also threatened his daughter to ensure she didn't post the truth all over Facebook and social media, which is not unusual because we've heard these accounts many times from other people who've been threatened by Robin Sobb and his organised criminal gang. In fact, they threatened me unsuccessfully. They don't scare me, any of them. They're just a bunch of blowhards, quite frankly. Plastic gangsters, innit, bruv? But anyway, yes, the allegations against him, very unpleasant. And that rant, to be perfectly honest with you, I thought I was listening to SUTR, Stand Up to Racism, that is. And, or Hope Not Hate, Nick Lowell's. I just couldn't tell the difference. So, in truth, what we're seeing with MEGA, which apparently means Make England Great Again, although I would say it's probably closer to Make England Ghanaian African, because they seem to be totally obsessed with non-white immigrants and how much they love them and how much they hate nationalists. Yes, that's a common thread with the far left, isn't it? And this is a point I've made repeatedly about these so-called centre-right groups. You know, that they are actually the centre-left, or as one of my subscribers coined the other night, centre-right lefties. I think it's a perfect description, in actual fact. I've actually used it in the thumbnail for this podcast. I think it's brilliant, in truth, centre-right lefties. It describes them perfectly because they've gone so far to the left, they've actually dipped into far-left lexicon and far-left ideology, and they themselves don't even know what they are anymore. So wearing these ridiculous mega hats and flying the flag of St. George and the Union flag and ranting about England in it, brav governor, doesn't really mean anything. It's just drivel. It's all part of the act, quite frankly. And that act we will see on a larger scale on the 13th of September. And this is what I said to nationalists repeatedly. Kev Bryan said it. A number of other people have said it as well. Don't go to that rally. If you do, you're disgraced, you're tarnished by being involved with these people. Look at Glen Saffer. One of the reasons why he grasped on the activists that were due to attend the Epping protest is because he wanted to re-ingratiate himself with Tommy. It's a little bit like Danny Tomo, who was also caught having sex with one of the grooming gang's victims. Yes, it's a familiar thread, isn't it? It's drugs, domestic, and Danny Tomo, of course, domestic violence galore. kicked out of the army for drug dealing, kidnap, torture. Such a lovely bunch of people, aren't they, these centre-right scumbags? And that's all they are, criminal scumbags hiding behind flags. And when you put them to the test, none of them actually believe in England, or England for the English, or Britain for the British. And anybody who does is a horrible racist and a Hitler worshipper. So there, go and join Hope Not Hate and SUTR. Because, you know, sorry for the infantile accent, but that's pretty much what I feel I'm dealing with when I'm trying to talk to these people. In fact, a rational conversation with them is impossible, because if you try to have any form of discourse with them on social media, usually the refrain is left wafer, bedwetter, no, because you're dealing with children. These are not adults. These are people who've just never grown out of the childhood mindset of hurling silly little names at each other across the playground and challenging each other to a scrap. As long as the scrap's 5-1, that is. Or, you know, you're taking on somebody who couldn't fight their way out of a wet through paper bag. They're the odds they prefer. But anybody who can really handle themselves, oh no. Well, I proved that, didn't I, in Leeds, you know, with 3 of his fanboy thugs who just didn't like the glint of steel. So there you go. Not to mention those in Brighton and in Cardiff and Nottingham. They're all full of shit. They love giving it the big one in gangs, but when it actually comes to the crunch, unless they're in a gang, they just can't do the business. The only one who ever actually tried it was the clown in Cardiff, who humiliated himself very badly. And that's just too bad for him, isn't it? You know, I didn't really even have to draw breath in that one. And the guy was 20 years younger than me, and a Thai kickboxer, according to him. He did used to go to the gym, yeah, at least 2-3 times a week. Pathetic little man. Pathetic little man. But there you go, that's the centre-right for you, isn't it? Plastic gangsters. And that's a common thread as well. So, in truth, I think most people on the centre-right, after watching that Saffer rant, because that, in actual fact, is entirely typical of what these centre-right clowns actually believe. I think the people on the centre-right who believe they're centre-right, or thought they were centre-right, need to take a good long look at the Saffer rant and all the other anti-white, anti-British rants that they've had, whilst flying Israeli flags, and other flags as well, and embracing non-whites as though they meant more to them than their white brethren. Sounds just like the far left, doesn't it? And the far left despise them, apparently, and they despise us, and the centre-right despise us, and we despise them. Not an awful lot of love going around, is there? And does it really matter? Well, frankly, I couldn't care less. That's just the way it is in politics. This is a struggle for power. And then a centre-right must be overcome, and one of the best ways to overcome them is to convince their people that they're not actually centre-right at all. And that is being done actually quite successfully, because some of these guys who were grassed on, who wanted to attend the Epping protest, used to be in league with Tommy and such like. And then they watched so much material, like what you see here on the Daily Agenda, and it struck so many home truths and so many chords, they actually realised that they were nationalists and not centre-right, or centre-line as some of them put it, you know. So centre-line, centre-right, it's the same thing, centrism. It's just a pit of poison, of nothingness, from which no change will ever emerge, nothing that will ever improve this country for the better. That's what centrism is, and it's all by design. In fact, there's a very good podcast tonight on Dino Bane, one of my favourite channels, about Nigel Farage and the extent to which he's veered off to the left. And yeah, honestly, you know, take a really good look at Farage. You know, I mean, come on, you know, he's not playing some cunning 4D chess. I mean, he was in bed with Hope Not Hate from 2010 onwards, handing over the UKIP membership list to Hope Not Hate, communists funded by the government, thus breaching the privacy of UKIP clowns. Well, they deserved it entirely, in my opinion. Shouldn't have been a member of UKIP, should they? And most of them were members of UKIP because they were too cowardly to be members of the British National Party. And I know this because, having spoken to them, many of them had right-wing views that were totally in line with the BNP, and in some cases more hardline than the BNP. They were just too cowardly, thinking mainly of their jobs and their family and their homes. It was all about cowardice, and that's why we arrived at the situation that we're in right now, because of mass collective cowardice by the white population, particularly those of a right-wing political persuasion. Now, you could hardly say, having watched the Saffer clown rant, that man is right-wing. Just because he wears a mega hat, and he has actually made mega absolutely ridiculous, a source of mockery. It's no wonder Paul Thorpe supports it, you know, the pipe grease boy, who says, we've got more diversity here than the left, in it, Gav? Yes, of course, yes, because they're all lefties, really. They're all lefties. That's the reason why they're always ranting about nationalists. And they're on a massive rant about nationalism all the time. In fact, the last 4 weeks they've been ranting about nationalism more than I've ever seen them do since the British National Party was at the height of its success with 1 million votes. And yet there is no nationalist party in this country remotely close to achieving that at this moment in time. And yet, why are they ranting? And I'll tell you why they're ranting. They're ranting because they know that the political hemisphere is totally wide open for another organisation just like the British National Party to rise, yes, to rise from the grassroots and build a mass movement organisation which can eclipse the BNP and its 1 million votes. That's what all the ranting's about. It's all about the safety valve operation. That's what the 13th of September is about. It's all part of the safety valve operation. And for the fools who just don't get it, i.e. don't wear any face coverings, because the Metropolitan Police here will be here with their facial recognition cameras, scanning everyone in the crowd and building a vast database of activists. And quite frankly, you must be absolutely fucking stupid. Sorry to be quite so crude, but you must be fucking stupid to attend that rally. To attend that rally knowing perfectly well you are going to be facially scanned by the Metropolitan Police, an organised criminal gang wholly committed to radical leftism, and you're still going to turn up at that. My goodness, it takes a special kind of stupid, doesn't it, to fall into that trap. It's not a special kind of stupid that will ever afflict me. You know, I've never been centre-right, it's never appealed to me. I've always been a nationalist. I will always be a nationalist. I don't play games with the centre-right. But the purpose of this video is not just to expose the centre-right. We all know what the centre-right is. The true purpose of this podcast tonight is to get centre-right people to question whether they really are centre-right or nationalists. Because anyone in the centre-right who has alarm bells ringing after watching that epic left-wing rant by the mega clowns, then quite frankly, you are not centre-right, and you need to come over to us. You need to come with the nationalists. And we'll welcome you with open arms, because we know the extent to which so many people have been seduced and conned and cheated by the centre-right and their false promises and their phony flag-waving rebellion. With nationalism, there is the opportunity to build a true anti-establishment political organisation committed not just to reform, but utterly massive, sweeping reform. The type of reform that will sweep the rotten old order into the dustbin of history from whence they came, and they will never return. And that is the objective of British nationalists. We are not here to tinker and play around the edges and try and convince people that, oh, well, look, you know, we sent 2,000 or 3,000 illegals back. Aren't we good? Aren't we clever? Whoopie-doodle-do, which is Nigel Farage and deep fake reform. We are here to do the job properly, efficiently. We make no bones about the fact, I make no bones about the fact, that I totally favour stopping all immigration, that is, not just some of it, all immigration, for a minimum of 10 years to ensure that the remigration policy can progress and succeed. Because remigration cannot succeed while we continue to flood the country with immigrants. After the moratorium has elapsed, then we can take a look at the variable residency rules policy, which will be for Europeans only, not for the entire world. And of course, it will also extend to Americans and Australians and New Zealanders, Canadians, white South Africans. Okay, so Glen Saffer wants to have another epic rant about white is right, so to speak. I mean, in truth, I guess you could say the man hates Britain prior to Windrush, which means he's a Marxist, is it not? And that's the way to catch out all of these centre-right clowns when they're ranting about, oh, they want to make a white Britain again. So they obviously hate white Britain. They hate what Britain was in 1948 prior to the Windrush invasion. That's how you catch them out. Put them on the spot with that. And demand to know why they hate white Britain so much, particularly white Britain as it existed in 1948 in the days just before Windrush. It's something they can't answer. They always fall down on it. They always look like somebody's knocked their teeth out, which is a wonderful sight, is it not? Okay, so if you're watching this tonight and you thought you were centre-right, I suggest you go back to the drawing board and get your pencil and sketchbook out and redraw the map of your political currency and your future. Because in truth, if you're alarmed by that horrible, disgusting, anti-white, essentially anti-English, anti-British rant, then you need to be with nationalists.